listening to The Motherhood Experience, a podcast where you are part of the conversation with moms, for moms, and by moms. Let's jump into this episode with me, your host, Val Kleppen. We are back with another episode of the Motherhood Experience podcast. Today I have my friend Erica Anderson on the show. Erica and I have no idea how we met. We have no idea when our friendship started, but you know what? It doesn't matter because her story about motherhood and all of the extra kids that she has been able to take under her wing over the years is one that I'm glad we were able to capture in a conversation today. I can't wait for you to listen to it. So right now, let's head to my conversation with my friend Erica Anderson. I am so glad to have you joining us on the Motherhood Experience podcast. And today I have my friend Erica Anderson. Erica, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So glad to hear it. And I've prepped you a little bit before we started recording, but I start every episode with ages and stages of your kids and where you are in your motherhood journey. So why don't we start there and share with the listeners where you are?
Sure. So I have 3 biological kids. My daughter's 17, then we have a son that's 16 and another son that's 14. And I say biological because we claim a lot of other children as well.
We're going to get into that. But first, I want to start with, so you've got teenagers. How is navigating that as a mom right now, having 3 teens in the house at once?
Sure. I actually enjoy it, to be honest. I would say with our daughter, I always tell people from 2 to 13, we're really hard with her. I'm like, this is going to be terrible when she's a teenager. But after, when she hit 13, 14, I feel like things got so much better. I don't know.
She just
So
kind of
I'm enjoying the teenagers. What's that?
She just kind of stepped into herself at that age, or?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. She's just such a strong-willed child. When she was little, she literally at 3 years old stomped on the steps and said, "You're ruining my life, Mom." And I'm like, "You don't have a life. You're 3."
Oh, wow.
She's always kept me on my toes. And we're a lot alike, so we butt heads, I think. That might be part of it too. So, but yeah, now I feel like the teenage years have been kind of fun. She talks more, and I don't know, maybe that it helps. I work at the high school now this year, so I'm with her friends every day and I see them and I know what's going on.
So what are you doing at the high school?
So I work as a para, so a teacher assistant. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you entered into motherhood, did you have any expectations on how many kids you were going to have or what your family structure was going to look like at all?
I guess not so much. When I found out I was pregnant with McKenna, our oldest, I was a little scared. So I was 3 months pregnant when we got married, and just kind of surprise, you're having a baby, right? So I guess I didn't put a lot of thought into it. And then we had Brayden 18 months after McKenna was born, and then we had Breck 18 and a half months after Brayden was born. So it was just bam, bam, bam.
So all evenly spaced out. That's funny. Do they have the same birthday month? Or I guess not if it's...
No, McKenna's March 9th, Brayden's September 9th, and then Breck's March 21st.
Oh, funny.
So,
oh,
yeah.
Haley's March 21st. I don't think I knew that
really?
our kids had the same birthday.
Oh, yeah.
But she was way early. But okay, so you kind of were thrown into parenting or into motherhood then, surprise, you're having a baby. Where were you guys in Minnesota when you got married?
Yeah. Yep. We were going between Fargo and Moorhead.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we had McKenna, we were living in Moorhead in a 1-bedroom apartment. And then we decided let's move into a 2-bedroom apartment so we have an extra bedroom. And then my husband's brother moved in with us. So McKenna was still in our room, no extra bedroom. So then we moved, a year after that, we moved into a 3-bedroom apartment thinking oh, we'll have an extra bedroom because Matt's brother's coming with us. But then my sister came with us too. So now we have my sister, Matt's brother, and me and McKenna and Matt, and I'm pregnant with Brayden.
Okay, well, this is really interesting to me because here you are taking other people under your wing as an early married couple, and
Hmm.
eventually you entered into foster care also. So
Right.
what was that journey like? What led to that?
So Matt, my husband, was in foster care as a teenager. And oddly enough, our second date at Paradiso in Fargo, we sit down and
Professory
he's
dinner
like,
extra.
right? We sit down and he's kind of like looking around and quiet. And then a lady came up to our booth and introduced herself. And she's like, "Oh, I'm Matt's foster mom. And this is his whole foster family sitting over here celebrating a birthday." I'm like, okay, like no idea. So I was like, okay, he was in foster care. That's interesting. That's a story. So, um, yeah, I guess when we got married, we talked about it just because we're so close to his foster family still, and still do holidays with them and whatnot. And we never really had the space to take in any extra kids until we moved from Minnesota to Washington State. And then that's when we decided right away when we moved there, we did the application process. And I was working at a hospital and I got a call and they're like, this is DHS. I have two little boys, ages 2 and 4. Could you pick them up today? And I'm like, well, I don't even know if our license went through. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, it did. Like this morning, your license went through. Like, you're good. And I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't aware. And they're like, yep, so you're good. So if you can come pick them up, I'm like, yeah, great. Done with work at 3. I'll go buy a car seat, a booster seat, and I'll be there to pick them up. So that started our foster care journey in April
Wow.
of 2016 with two little boys that stayed with us for just a little over 2 years.
Wow, the same day your license went through, you got the call.
Yeah.
And you
Hmm.
didn't even know. That's how you found out that you were approved.
Yep. Yeah, I had no idea.
So what are like did you have any hesitancies from having no experience in the foster care system other than hearing what Matt went through? Did you have any hesitancies becoming a foster mom?
um, I guess my only thing would have been like, how is this going to affect our kids? You
Right.
know? Um, and it definitely did. I mean, we'd have foster kids come in and they'd call me mom. And my kids would get angry, like, she's not your mom. And I'd be like, but you guys, I am. Like right now and at this moment, like I'm their mom, you know? And so that was tough.
Mhm.
I would say that's like the biggest thing right there. Just kids calling me mom that like I wasn't their biological mom.
So how old were your
So
kids then when you started fostering?
let's see. So McKenna would have been like 10. So Braden would have been 9 and Breck would have been 7.
Okay. Wow.
Mm.
So that's interesting because back in Michelle Cachat's episode, she talked about being a blended family too, and that almost competition between children vying for attention from their biological parent and having to share
Mhm.
that parent at the same time.
Yeah.
So, how many kids did you end up fostering over time?
So total, we had 13 placements in our home. And then we also did respite. So with respite, we had and placements, I think we had about 42 kids that came through our home in 4.5 years.
Erica, that's so many. And that's
So,
just in one state.
yep, just in Washington. Yeah, we only fostered for almost 5 years when we were out in Washington.
Wow. So, what are any frustrations that you had with being a foster parent, or was it more of a blessing than you anticipated?
Oh, it was a blessing for sure, but there are definitely frustrations that come with it as well.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, you're with these kids caring for them 24/7, but you have zero say in what happens with them. My husband would always just say that we're paid babysitters, like a glorified
Mm,
babysitter. So that was, I think, our biggest frustration is like you're parenting with the state.
yeah.
So, and vile parents too, which is a whole nother thing. that I could get into as well. I mean, I didn't I never thought I would have relationships with the bio parents. And I ended up having some pretty good relationships with bio moms that I was very surprised.
No
So,
kidding.
mhm.
So what was that like then? How did that come about?
Um, I
And
guess I don't know how it's
I'll tell you why I asked that question, because my own perception of foster care is the parents are completely disenfranchised, mostly out of the picture, not involved. And I don't know if it might be a correct assumption in some cases, but not all, where the child essentially is being neglected and not cared for. And so
sure.
that's my perception of it. So then to hear that there are relationships with the biological mothers is something really surprising to me. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Like, obviously, the child is being neglected in some way, or there's something going on within the family for the child to leave, right? And I think when we first started, in my mind, I was just like, how can these moms do this to their kid, right? Like, how does this
Mm,
happen? And honestly, I was pretty judgy, you know? But then you get to know these moms, and it's like, they really are, a lot of them, they're doing the best they can with what they know. Like,
mm,
it's generational. Like, a lot of these moms are in foster care themselves, or they had, parents that weren't around all the time, or grandparents raising them, or whatever it would be. Um, so they were doing the best they could with what they knew, and without really a support system to tell them anything different, like to teach them anything different. So what I came to enjoy is like really coming alongside some of these moms, and like helping them. Like, we'd meet for coffee, and we'd celebrate the kids' birthdays together. We'd meet at the park, and like I'd bring cupcakes, and mom would come, and we'd do pictures, and like so the kids could be with their biological mom, but like still with us, because sometimes we were more of like the safe place, right?
mm, mhm,
Um, but mom still got to see them, because these moms, like, they love their kids, right? They're just not sure how to take care of them.
mm,
So some of them, I was like surprised by that, I guess I
yeah.
could say. Um, Not every case is obviously that way. Like, we had kids that went home that I was like, what are we doing? Like,
Mm.
why are we sending them back? Um, but for the most part, thankfully for us, like, we can still keep in touch with a lot of the kids that were in our home. So,
And that's another question I would have is what is it like becoming attached to these kids and having them be a part integrated into your family and then having to part ways with them?
sure. I think the hardest would probably be those two little boys that we started with, right? And they were with us for 25 months. And our friends adopted them. So it was a great situation. Like, our friends from church adopted them, and they're in a good place. I know they're safe and well taken care of. But literally, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months after they left, like, I woke up during the night and woke Matt up, and I was just bawling. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "My boys are gone. Like, my boys need to come home. They're not home." you know?
Yeah.
And that was one thing that also surprised me. Like, I didn't think I'd feel like those strong of emotions, right? Like, because I knew where they were. I knew they were safe. Some of these kids you return and you don't know where they're going and if they're okay. And that's hard too. But I think the biggest thing I've learned is like, you literally have to put it in the Lord's hands. Like, okay, Lord, you love these children like more than I do. Like, protect them, take care of them.
Yeah.
So, but it is hard. There are some days where I'm just like, oh, my boys need to come home, or, so and so needs to come home. I
Oh,
mean, even
wow.
kids now, like when we moved to Wisconsin, we've claimed a few kids here too. Like, there's kids constantly at our house, in and out. You never know. We've had a couple live here for a couple months, and then they leave, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I'm home, mom," and they're back for a month, and it's like, okay. And they call me mom at school, so some of the teachers are like, "That's your kid," and I'm like, I claim him. Like, yes, he's mine. He lives with me sometimes, whatever. He's like, "I'm coming home this weekend." I'm like, "Great. You haven't been home in a while. Come home."
So is part of that then just having teenagers as your own kids and the kids that they attract also?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's I don't know what it is. I mean, Matt even reminded me, like, we've had when we lived in Moorhead, our neighbor, 2-year-old neighbor, showed up at our like doorstep one day. Like he was at our patio door in our backyard, like went up the steps to our deck and he's standing there and I'm like, oh hey buddy. Like, what's up? Like, we've just had kids come in and out of our house for like years. I don't know. I don't know what it is, like what attracts kids to our house, but they come and go. And we're just
Yeah.
like, whatever. There's always a kid sleeping on my couch or somewhere. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's clear that you have a calling and a nurturing gift for these kids for sure. Has the perspective of your own kids changed over time?
I think so. I think they realize like they do have it pretty good, right? You have your parents are together, you have a stable home, a house to live in, and food to eat. I mean, we have kids that come in and they're like, I don't have food at my house. And I'm like, well, you know where the cereal's at, or you know where the fridge is, go help yourself, you know?
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, back to McKenna when she was little, when she'd be mad at me, she's like, I want to be a foster kid and go live in foster care. And I'm like, okay, let's try that. Okay. So Matt came and picked her up from, I called him. I'm like, you have to come home and get her now. Like, she needs to leave now. And this is when we had the 2 little foster boys. And Matt came and got her and took her. And when they left, I had our 2 boys, the 2 foster boys, all on my lap, bawling. They're like, is McKenna ever going to come home? Is she ever coming back? And I'm like, yes, you guys, she's coming back. But Matt, like, took her downtown and was like, okay, get out. Here's your new family that you asked for. You wanted a new family. Here you go. And then she's bawling, and she's like, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
quick attitude adjustment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Good play.
for sure.
Good play. So what kinds of things are your kids involved in today where maybe they're around and attracting friends who are just kind of those outsiders? Are they in sports or anything?
Yeah, sports, they're all involved in sports. I would say that's the biggest thing,
Yeah.
probably.
I think that you're
Um,
constantly running around, right?
Pretty much. I mean, myself now, I don't have to drive kids as much because I have 2 drivers in the house and they each have a vehicle.
Right.
So nice, Val, when it gets to that point. Oh, but yeah, still like running to volleyball and football and soccer and baseball and all the things, which I enjoy. I love it. I'm gonna miss it now that McKenna's graduating this year and no more volleyball or softball.
Oh wow. Were you
So
and Matt athletic or in sports growing up?
I did volleyball, basketball, track. Matt played some sports in middle school. Like he enjoys hockey. He likes playing hockey.
Yeah. Were you ever did you ever do the church volleyball at Salem?
I did. We played at Bethel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The
I did
the
play there
league.
for a couple years.
That was the league, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with tournaments and everything.
Yep. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I feel like I'm getting a little old for that now. Pull a hammy or something.
We all reached that stage at some point, I think.
Yeah.
I felt a little old for everything, I think maybe when I turned 30. So that was a long time ago. But what are some of your favorite things? Like, do you have favorite stories or traditions that you implemented with that you started with your biological kids that you also did with foster kids? Like, it's holiday season. Are you big cookie bakers or gingerbread house constructors or anything like that?
No, we're the matching pajama family. So like I just have pictures with our foster kids in our matching pajamas every year, and that was kind of like a special thing I think that made them feel like part of the family.
Hmm.
And then we did start like I don't know, 6 years ago maybe, after we put up the Christmas tree, we've all gone out and picked out a Lego set and we do Legos together. We just sit down at the table and we're there for 3 or 4 hours just talking and putting Legos together,
Oh, wow.
which is kind of nice when you have teenagers because it's not that often that you're all around the table together at one time.
Right. Doing something constructive like that too. That's
Hmm.
I love that. Did you ever feel like you had to pay extra attention to your own kids while you were fostering?
I guess I don't know that I ever felt like that. maybe. I don't know. I
Yeah.
tried to make it so that the foster kids also felt like family, right? Like I didn't want them to feel like they were any different than my own
Mm.
kids. So I don't know. I mean, maybe we did extra special things with our kids sometimes. Like Matt would take McKenna out for like ice cream or something. Um, I don't know. I don't remember like really doing anything different, I guess.
This is totally random and coming from left field, but have your kids always called you mom, or was it mommy at some point, or has it always
It's
been mom?
always been mom.
Has it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm just asking, I mean, because you've had a lot of kids in your home and calling you mom, and my we are mama and daddy. Even
Oh,
though we have a 13 and a 9-year-old, we can't
sure.
bear to have our kids call us anything else.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, you're gonna be in your 40s calling me mama. Like, that's
Yeah.
just the way it has to be, I guess. But I was just curious because you've had so many calling you mom, if your kids called you anything else.
No, they just call me mom. Everyone just calls me mom.
Yeah, everyone does.
Oh, yep.
So
Yeah, I mean,
when you became a mom then, and you had these you had three under three, right?
yeah, McKenna turned 3 and then Breck was born 2 weeks later. So 3, 1.5 newborn.
And is when would we have met?
I was trying to figure that out. It had to have been like during a Tuesday morning Bible study at Salem, I feel like. I don't know. Because we didn't attend Salem. Like, I did Tuesday morning Bible study there, but we attended Ignite. So,
Okay, well now because I did childcare at Tuesday morning, but not till like much later.
hmm,
Was
I
it a
don't
retreat?
know.
Did you come as a retreat? Maybe because how did you meet Ashley? Was it volleyball?
No, I met Ashley. We went on, when Crew was Campus Crusade, we were on a summer project together.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay, so Erica, I have no idea how we met.
I know. I don't either. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, how did we meet? Because
But
I
it
knew
doesn't matter.
Ashley and I knew Lisa, and then I don't know.
Well, if anybody out there listening knows how Erica and I met, we would love to hear the story.
Right? Let us know.
I do have to say though, like you've always been supportive of all of my endeavors and you've always been so trusting of me, which I appreciate so much. But I have no idea how it all started.
I really don't know either.
This is one of
But
those things where the Lord works in mysterious ways, I guess.
yes, yeah. 'Cause I really don't remember. I mean, I remember you reaching out to me about like VA work and stuff,
Yeah. But
which I'm
we
grateful
knew
for.
each other already.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Because that would have been when, like 2017, 2018, maybe?
Mm, well, we moved to Washington in 2015. So it had to have been, I don't know. I don't know.
For real? It was that long
Yeah,
ago? Well, I remember being sad when you left, so it was before 2015.
2015,
This is where like we're kind of the old lady moms now. Now,
right?
was it Bruce's cousin's nephew? Oh goodness. Well, do you have any like favorite holiday traditions that I mean, I know I asked about cookie baking and stuff, but remember, did you ever do lights in Lindenwood?
We
Like in
did.
Fargo,
Yep,
did you?
we
That was
did.
one of our
Hmm.
favorite traditions to do with the kids, and we haven't found anything like that since. And sad note, I heard that Lights in Lindenwood, it moved somewhere. Like it doesn't exist
Oh,
anymore because they outgrew the
really?
park.
Hmm. I did not know that.
And
Both
it
my
was also,
sisters still live up there, so I'll have to ask them.
yeah, I can't remember where I heard that it moved to, but it's not Lights in Lindenwood anymore. But that was one of our favorite traditions. Another
Yeah.
thing I was thinking today, going through um, shopping for Christmas gifts,
Hmm.
I found myself getting really sad walking down the aisle that had like all of the younger toys, like toys for kids that are a lot younger, like
Yeah.
3 years old. I found myself getting really sad that I can't get things like that, that my kids have outgrown that. Do you find yourself in that stage at all, or are you so
Mm,
grateful that you have teens now?
I guess, I mean, I'm grateful I have teens, but as I get older, I feel like their gift list gets more expensive, right? Like,
It's a little ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. I'm like, okay. So in that aspect, I'd love to buy the toy,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I
Um,
think my daughter's on page 3 of her Christmas list at this point.
yeah, yeah. Lucky for me, my sisters had kids quite a bit after we had ours, so I can still buy like the toys, right? Like the
Yeah.
noisemakers and all that fun stuff, but it doesn't have to
Right.
be in my house.
I was surprised actually at how sad it made me. I mean, my kids
Yeah.
are, like I said, 13 and 9. So
Mhm.
you're ahead of me by a ways yet, but
Yeah, I don't
the
know. I really honestly am enjoying the teenage stage a lot more than I thought I would.
are your kids cool with you working at the high school?
So at first they were not. So I was at the middle school for 2 years, and this is my first year I decided to move to the high school, and they're like, "No, you're not." And but now I think they kind of like it because when they need something, they just come find mom,
Right,
you know?
right.
And I really honestly I don't see them a lot during the day at all. The school's big enough that I don't run into them a lot. I do have a class with Braden and I have a couple classes with Breck, but it's fine.
And with your cuz you've moved because of your husband's job, right?
Right. Yep.
That's why you moved to Washington and then Wisconsin and um
Mhm.
what has what has it been like fostering with him working? I mean, your family is pretty dependent on him having that job.
Right.
What has that been like?
With him working and extra kids.
Right, right.
Well, so when we were fostering, for the most part, we had four foster kids. We took sibling groups, except for one individual girl. So for the most part, we had four extra kids, or four foster kids, and our three. And I actually at the time was working full time, and he was working full time, and we had seven kids. Um, I like to tell him I like must thrive off the total chaos. Like, I don't know. I was running everywhere. You're running to counseling appointments, you're running to PT, you're running to OT, you're running to court, then you have all the sports, and then you're at work. And I don't know. Looking back, I'm like, how did we manage that? Two full-time jobs and seven kids and all the extras that come along with foster care, right? Like the extra things. So I don't know. I'm
Well,
not sure, Val.
I don't either, but it's amazing and incredible to hear about. And I know that you guys have different parenting styles, but has your journey with your own 3 kids and in fostering, has it brought the 2 of you closer together?
I think when we were fostering, it brought us a lot closer together. Um, Maybe just because you have to communicate when you're both working two full-time jobs and you have seven kids and that many schedules to work around. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like our communication was really good when we were fostering.
I think
And I
that's
think that's more when we were kind of on the same page of parenting too, you know?
yeah. I
So,
think that's an encouraging thing to share and for others to hear, especially if they're questioning if foster care is for them and,
mhm,
wondering how it will affect their family. What would you say to someone who's maybe considering or feeling that tug at their heart to foster?
sure. I would say for sure I mean, anyone could foster. You don't have to be a married couple. You could be single and foster. But if you're married, you both have to want to do it. You have to be on the same page. One of you can't want it and the other one not. It would be too hard. Way too
Mhm.
hard. Um and fostering's not for everyone, which I learned. I'm like, anyone that has space could take a kid, right? But you quickly come to find out like that's not the case. Can everyone be involved in foster care? Absolutely. Like a foster mom would love to have a break, even for an hour. Like, hey, I'll come grab the kids for an hour, or hey, here's some supper for you. We just got 3 new kids thrown in your lap. Like, all
Yeah.
those things. It's like having a baby, like a newborn, right? Like, all of a sudden it's 10 o'clock at night and you have 2 kids showing up on your doorstep with nothing. So then you're running to Target and you're buying pajamas and underwear and socks and toothbrushes and whatever they need for the next day. So, yeah, I
And
don't know. It
does that,
is. Oh, go ahead.
well, does that become something that gets, I don't want to say easier to manage, but you handle it better where it's not like you everything just changed and oh my goodness, what do I do? Where it's like, okay, we're in this mode now. Here's what we have to take care of. Here's how it's going to work. Does that get
Yeah,
easier?
I think it did for sure. I mean, the first couple, you're like, it is like a surprise. Like, okay, these kids are literally coming with nothing. Like, I need to go shopping right now. I need to figure this out. Um, I don't know. I feel like the after a couple placements, I was a little bit more laid back, like, okay, this is expected. Like now I know what to expect, and um it got easier, I think.
Well, Erica, I have had a blast catching up with you and hearing your insider perspective and your heart for foster care, especially with 3 children of your own. I think that this story will bless all of those who hear it. And I'm so grateful that you agreed to come on and be a guest on the Motherhood Experience.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Motherhood Experience podcast. To join our exclusive TME community, head on over to themotherhoodexperience.com/learn more. Be sure to follow the Motherhood Experience on Facebook and Instagram, and please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment below, and we'll catch you next time.